afternoon to all of you. Thank you. I welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living Paradise, being held here in beautiful, lovely Chico. We meet on the second and fourth Sundays of the month at 2 o'clock at the center in Chico at 14 Hillary Lane. So I'm talking to all the YouTubers out there. Come and see us. That'd be awesome. So I want to thank Trevor for getting us on YouTube. That's amazing. We're able to reach so many more people that way. Jay, thank you for doing the sound. And thank you, Andy, for being here to give the talk in Reverend Christine's absence. So just a few announcements to start. Reverend Christine is offering one more gathering this coming Wednesday, 10 o'clock until 11:30 a.m. at Sycamore Glen, upstairs there. It's a time where we come together and we heal as we work with Science of Mind principles. So thank you to everyone who has joined us so far. It's been pretty amazing. So there's a lot of places you can find all of our information. Remember to find us on Facebook at Paradise Center for Spiritual Living. Check the website at paradisecsl.org and look for e-blasts. And if you are not on my e-blast list, stop and give me your email address and I'll put you on there right away. So all of our events are listed in those places, so feel free to go so you know what's going on. And finally, we have some simple forms for you to complete. There's a survey available that will determine what you want and need as we move forward as a center. And there's a membership and mailing address form that I'm asking all of you to complete, even if you've already given me your new contact information. This is going to take the place of those pledge cards we used to have. So on the form, it spells out the benefits of membership and allows us to stay connected with you. So see me in the social hall with any questions. So again, thank you all for being here on this beautiful Sunday of spiritual celebration. And now that the business is over, I invite Molly to come up and lead us in a meditation.
Thank you, Julie. You're welcome. Good afternoon. It's wonderful to have you here today as we come together to practice on this very first Sunday of summer after the equinox this Friday, as we mark the turning of the wheel of the year. And in addition to enjoying and celebrating the light of the sun that powers the universe, we can also embrace the idea of the light, the spiritual energy and light that we have within us that infuses the entire universe, that indeed creates the universe and fills everything. The light of God, the light of spirit, whatever it is that you call it. And as Gary Zukov said, at the summer solstice, all is green and growing, potential coming into being, the miracle of manifestation painted large on the canvas of awareness. It's a lovely way to look at it. So as we settle in, we'll ring the mindfulness bell 3 times in honor of the teachers, the multiplicity of teachings from which we draw our spiritual strength, and for the friendship and camaraderie of those of us exploring our spiritual ideals. Body, speech, and mind in perfect oneness, we send our hearts out with the sound of the bell so that all who hear it can awaken from forgetfulness and transcend all anxiety and sorrow. So gently allow your eyes to close. It is said that when we close our eyes, attention turns toward the inner glow, and the heart sees by its own light. So gently closing the eyes, sitting in an upright and dignified posture so that the vital energy can flow through you unrestricted, through this beautiful vessel of your body. The ancient sutras tell us that there's a current of love energy that flows between the earth below and the sun above us, and that central channel of your spine is the riverbed for the flow of that love. So feel the support of the earth beneath you as you settle onto the body of the planet. And focus your attention and your gratitude on the light that you have now in this present moment. Gratitude for the unseen forces of light and love in the universe, and for your individual source of light within. You can bring your awareness to the gentle rise and fall of your breathing, allowing light healing energy to flow through you unrestricted from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. Slowly breathe in the divine breath of the universe, drawing it deeply into you. And feel it gently expanding inside you, filling you with energy. And when you feel that the inhalation is complete, to slowly, completely, silently, effortlessly allow the breath to flow back out. Allowing the inhale to flow seamlessly into the exhalation without any pause in between. Just a gentle, natural rhythm. Feel the universe breathing you. Feel infinity flowing through you. Now bring your awareness into your heart center and connect with your inner light, however you feel that, in the cave of your heart, that boundless center of loving kindness and compassion. And feel your heart expand with each inhalation and soften with each exhalation until you relax into that knowing space of love. The light of universal spirit is all around us and through us. We are bathed in its energy and its love. With each inhalation, breathe in cleansing light. And with each full exhalation, release any darkness, tension, or worry. Continue breathing in light and letting go of darkness. Breathe in the warmth and nurturing of the summer sun and the sunlight of the One. Rejoice in each breath. And as you breathe in and out in awareness of your inner light, the light shines brightly into all of creation, illuminating all that is good and helpful and hopeful and unfolding. Your individual light meets and connects to the one light, uniting your individual self with the supreme self, the source of all abundance and joy. So So let us rest in the one light of presence and savor that energy connection as we consider the words of our founder, Ernest Holmes. The light of life is full within me and around me. It shines forth in perfect day. My light radiates to all and through all. My light has come. I am at peace. The light of life is full within and around me. It shines forth into the perfect day. So I invite you to bring a hand to your heart center and give thanks on the altar of your heart for the graces in your life on this day. Those blessings known and those already on their way. And let us also give thanks for the cycles of nature, for the wheel of the year, the journeys of the moon and the sun, that remind us of the light. The cycles that remind us that light arises from darkness and that rebirth and renewal are constant. May we embrace this summer season with the intention of healing and growth. And may we use this powerful time of summer to let ourselves heal from fear and grow in love and hope, remembering that we are each the power and the presence of spirit, the light of life itself. And we give great thanks for the ever-present unfolding spirit of good. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Alan. That was nice. We enjoyed your music. And thank you, Molly, for that wonderful meditation. I was I was thinking when as you came toward the end of the meditation, I don't know why it brought me there. All of a sudden, I'm seeing myself as a kid, as a 5-6-year-old kid, and I guess because it was really a happy time in my life, and until my mother passed away, but I mean, that's not what I was focused on. I was just focused on all the smiles and the good times I was having, and so just seeing the light, just really, I appreciate that. It's funny how the mind works, huh? It just brings you to those places, and it was a pleasant journey. So I have to say that. Thank you. And like always, it's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate that, and appreciate being asked to speak. So a good afternoon to you all. Yeah. The CSL theme for this month is to protect the vulnerable. And from that they have their kind of weekly thing is a different worldview and what to do. So from all of that, I was thinking, it was kind of moving around in my head, and I said, so what do I come up with there? I'm seeing things of empathy and reaching out to people, and so I came up with this title that says, I see where you're coming from. So we'll see where that goes. So here's an old joke, but it's kind of it's old, but it's very apropos to what I'm going to be talking about. So little Johnny comes home from his first day in second grade, and he gets home, and his mother grabs him and gives him a hug, and she says, Johnny, how was your first day in second grade? He said, it was great, Mom, but the teacher asked me something, and I don't know what to say. She asked me where I came from, and then I said, I don't know. And she says, well, that's something you need to ask your mother and father about. And so, mom says to him that when your dad comes home, we'll talk about that. So when the dad comes home, the mom says, yeah, Johnny had an interesting day at school, and the teacher asked him a very odd question, and told him that that's something we need to talk to him about where he comes from. And so the dad was kind of puzzled and kind of scratches his head, and he thinks, oh, okay, well, what am I going to say to a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old? And so he said, come on, bud, let's go in the den and we'll talk about this. And so he goes in the den, and he starts out like any man would with his son and says, well, yeah, I understand the question. When two people love one another, they come together, and the dad does this and dad does that. And the kid is looking at him, and the dad is really kind of flustered. He doesn't know where to go with this, and he's kind of got a twisted face and everything. And little Johnny looks at him and says, yeah, Dad, that's not what I need. He says, no, I need to know where I come from. He says, April comes from Cincinnati, and Jack comes from Chicago. Where do I come from? So anyway, so it's all in a point of view, see? So it's all how we see things. And so right off, it's kind of like, oh, okay, so where do we come from? Where do I come from? Where do you come from? I know where we all come from. We all come from Paducah, Kentucky. Yeah, great place, yeah. Yeah, it's Paducah, Kentucky. It always sticks. I love that name. It's just a cool name, Paducah, Kentucky. I knew a guy from Paducah, Kentucky once, and yeah, many moons ago when I was just a young man in the service. Yeah. But the truth is, though, we're all creative expressions, and we all come from the one divine source. That's really where we all come from. We're each one with this thing called life, and this thing called life is what God is. And God has 1,000 names, but that's what I choose to call him because it's a lot easier. Yet we're all unique, and we're all different. And what differentiates us from one another is our core values. Our core values, our experiences, the core values that have been written on our subconscious from this lifetime and any previous lifetimes, all the incarnations we've come through, it's all accumulated into this one thing that we are, individualized expressions of the divine source. In our present life, we come from different backgrounds and different customs and different values, and we're taught right from wrong from the perspective of our parents, our teachers, society as a whole, the environment that we're raised in. Those are the things that teach us what our core values are, or what we come to believe are our core values, and it's written on the subconscious. If you consider there's over 7 billion people in the world, and each one of us is different. So we've got 7 billion different views of life. Those of you who were raised in a family with several children, or more than one of you, and those of you who have raised children, more than one, can attest to the fact that even though you think that you raised them the same way, no matter what you do, they're going to be different. They just are. That's just the way that it works. I mean, I raised 2 boys, and they cannot be further or different than you can imagine, you know. And here I raised them. They grew up in a military household. I was a career military person, and most of their growing years we were in Europe. And but even though we had that shared experience and that common thing, wow. By the time they were teenagers, they were like, eh. It was interesting. At some point, they would share a room, and if you walked in the room, you could tell what side was. One side was like neat as a pin. The other one was like, Now, here's the interesting thing: the one that was neat, the one that was a total mess, he ends up going in the Marine Corps for 6 years. He's now, he's deputy sheriff, and now, but everything about his whole life was very disciplined. And the other one, who was neat as a pin, his life was completely different. He wouldn't join any organization that would have him as a member, kind of. That's just the way he was. He was totally, and he's still like that. He's still kind of like, not so much a mess as that a very free spirit, and and I thought I raised him the same. Didn't work that way. Yeah. So anyway, so as you look at this, so here you got 7. So when you factor in all of these different people, different environments, different countries, different communities, all of this stuff here, it's a wonder that in this world that we ever agree on anything. When you consider all of that, it doesn't make anybody right or wrong. It just makes us different. And we're not only different, the thing is that we're not really what we seem to be. We just latch on to all of these things that we think are hard facts, and we'll talk some more about that. So here's a little item that I had picked up on the internet some years ago, and I kept it kind of in my file. And it's called, "Before you judge others or claim any absolute truth, consider this. You can see less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum and hear less than 1% of the acoustic spectrum. As you listen to this, you are traveling at 220 kilometers per second across the galaxy." That's 492,000 miles an hour, in case you're wondering. 90% of the cells in your body carry, have their own microbial DNA, and they're not even you. The atoms in your body are 99.99 to infinity % empty space, and none of them are the ones that you were born with. But they originated all from the belly of the star, as I spoke last time. Human beings have 46 chromosomes, 2 less than a common potato. The existence of a rainbow depends on the conical photoreceptors in your eyes. To animals, without those cones, the rainbow doesn't even exist. So you don't just look at a rainbow, you create it in your mind. This is pretty amazing, especially considering all the beautiful colors you see represent only 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. Pretty interesting, huh? So considering these random facts, imagine me or anyone else having the audacity to read someone else's mind or to guess what someone's unspoken intentions are. It's just absolutely impossible. The point is, we come from different core experiences and values, and we see things through the filters of our physical and our emotional experiences. And we do this unconsciously. As we get older, hopefully, we get a little bit wiser. And if we're lucky, we become aware of those limitations. And we begin to accept differences in our fellow human beings. We become more tolerant. We may not understand what or why or someone thinks or sees things, why they see them differently, but we learn to tolerate. Isn't that nice? We tolerate people. We'll explain that. Now, you may have a crazy, obnoxious uncle who shows up at a family gatherings who is pro this, anti that. You can hardly stand being in the same room with him, let alone sitting down at a table with him. But you've learned to tolerate him. Or perhaps you have a boss or an acquaintance or a friend who's just as upsetting as your uncle, but you've learned to tolerate him or her. We've learned to keep the peace. Isn't that nice? We're nice people. After all, we're spiritual beings, we're spiritual people. We all use our New Age arsenal of cliches. We try to see the good in all people, and we praise it. We raise and praise those that we who probably annoy us. It's all good, it's all God. That's what we're taught. I do it myself. Now I call this spiritual intellectualizing. And if I don't understand something or somebody and I'm just shaking my head or rolling my eyes, I can always rationalize it to ease my mind. Yeah, I can tolerate it and say, oh, okay, it's not me, that's good. Yeah, there is some good in there somewhere. We hear that quote, we've heard that quote before, if we have all this horse manure, there's got to be a pony in there somewhere. Yeah, we've heard that story. Yes, we are tolerant. We are. We tolerate people. We're nice. That's okay. That's fine. But I believe that there's something very important that we're missing. There's something that we're leaving out there. Something that makes all the difference in the world. What do you think that might be? Take a guess. What are we leaving out there? We put up with people, we tolerate them, we're nice. I won't put you on the spot. Yeah. So you think about it, let's see, empathy, understanding, compassion, even love. Definition of empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It is also the giving of yourself to another, acknowledging a person, giving your full attention. Now that's really something to aspire to, especially with that crazy uncle. However, to understand and to share feelings of another, it's not easy. It takes a conscious effort. It is somewhat easier when someone you know is hurt or angry or going through some personal suffering, some illness, some loss, it's easier to empathize and understand what they're going through in sharing their loss. But how about that crazy uncle? The one who rants about the state, the country, how this group is making his life miserable or difficult or whatever. Or a friend or a colleague who is angry and afraid, who thinks society and the political system are just, in a bureaucracy, are just rigged against him. Or how about that depressed homeless person who can't find a job because he has no address? Or the demoralized minority who has been denied a job or a place to live because of bigotry or racism. These are far more complex issues to deal with. They're complex because they're not personal to us. And because there is no connection. We're not really connected to it. And also, these issues, when they pop up, can really push our judgment buttons, one way or another. So where does empathy come into all of this? Well, it starts by knowing the truth of God, the spiritual truth, because we forget that we're all one. Your truth is the truth of all the people, regardless of appearances. It starts with connection and effective listening. Really listening with comprehension, without judgment. That is so much more than just being tolerant with those you disagree with. Now, when I say connection, I mean just acknowledging someone, acknowledging their very existence. Just listening. Just listening, making eye contact, and saying something like, I see where you're coming from. Now, or you can say, they're ranting and I can see where this really upsets you. Doesn't mean you have to jump in and fix anything. You're just listening. And as a caution here, I must say that if I'm preparing an answer in my mind, I'm not listening. All right? If I'm waiting to say something, I'm waiting for my turn to talk, I'm not listening. And so it becomes an art form. It becomes something a little bit more difficult to do. Yeah. So anyway, it's compassionate. It's compassionate listening is really what it's all about. You're not arguing. You're not offering opinions. You're not offering to fix it. So Thich Nhat Hanh says that compassionate listening is to help the other side suffer less. If we realize that the other people are the same people as us, as they are just like us, we are no longer angry at them. The emotion kind of settles down. So if I pass a homeless person in the street, instead of looking someplace else, and I've had to practice this, I try to make eye contact and just say hi. And if I can, I even smile. Now, I don't need to stop and strike up a conversation. But that very simple gesture of looking at them in the eye, saying hi, or even smiling, you see them as a human being, not just something that's invisible. And you may be making his or her day. It's always that, isn't it? So let's back up just a little bit and talk about what is the truth of God. It is you and me as God made flesh. It is mindfulness, unconditional love, compassion, and understanding. Ernest Holmes says, and this is where some of our difficulty comes in, Ernest Holmes says, our vision is beclouded and the pathway of our progress is obstructed until we come to know that God can and does express itself as good in every person and in every situation. Yeah. So there's the rub, as Shakespeare would say. There's the problem, really. Far too often in our day-to-day activities, we just let our ego mind do all of our thinking. We just put it on autopilot and let it go. And the ego mind will take the path of least resistance. A Course in Miracles says it's all illusion. And Science of Mind pretty much says the same thing, that we are creating the appearance in our mind. It takes effort. It takes effort to train the spiritual mind to see beyond the appearances. The ego mind takes the path of least resistance, like I said, and focuses only on the appearance, on the situation, not on the person, and certainly not on God. Often, we look at a street person and we're seeing addiction, mental disease, poverty, the unclean, and we fail to see the face of God. Now, I'm not condemning anybody because I do the same thing. We get busy in our own day-to-day activities. However, our ego mind sees this as reality and immediately starts judging. Now, this is a defensive mechanism for the ego mind. It really is. Because in a fear-based ego world, our ego mind wants to fix blame, always trying to fix blame, whether it's on an individual, society, whatever it's going to be. And to do that, we need to judge people. We need to find something wrong. So if we acknowledge, in the way the ego mind kind of works, is that if we acknowledge this tragedy or something that's going wrong or whatever society has failed them, then the ego mind thinks we got to fix it. And so it's best just to ignore it and keep moving. But the good news is we don't have to do anything. We really don't. It's not our job to fix people. It's not our job to fix the whole thing. Our job is to fix ourselves, to see others as the children of God, loving them in spite of what the appearances are, and knowing that those are appearances. I didn't create it. I might be creating it in my mind, but it's not my responsibility to try to fix this person. And knowing that whatever we're looking at, if we're looking at people, that they are being held in the hands of grace. And it's a whole nother talk, but I always think of Abraham when Abraham, and actually Carol Meese says the same thing, is basically how they've contracted to be where they are before they came into this life. We did too. Wherever we are, we agreed to be what we are in every circumstance. Now, we don't remember that by the time we come into this life, but because, as Abraham says, that we think like human beings. We think with this brain where it's really a spiritual thing that creates all of this. And so that we are exactly where we are. We're in vibration with whatever it is that we're experiencing. And so is that individual that we're seeing on the street or wherever. Doesn't mean that we can't treat them with dignity and respect. One of the most incredible science of mind teachers and practitioners was a guy named Jesus from about 2,000 years ago. He never asked people to justify their suffering before he healed them or helped them. Buddha never taught that one has to be judged and justify why they should be loved. As a practitioner, when you ask me to treat for you or to do a prayer treatment for you for whatever the issue may be, finances, health, relationships, just circumstances of your life, my job is not to ask you how you got there. It's none of my business how you got there. My job is to see the spiritual truth. To see the spiritual truth for you, and in doing so, to help you see the same. Sometimes when we're trapped in these things, even as a practitioner myself, I have to see a practitioner, I have to talk to a minister, and actually I'm very lucky because I have a mentor that I talk to once a month for a long time. So I have to help you to know the divine source. The divine source provides you with absolutely everything you need to live the life that you choose. So whether that is in relationship, finances, whatever is going on in your life, the universe is saying yes. It's supporting you in every direction. So my job is to see beyond the condition and to love unconditionally. Now I say that my job because I'm a licensed practitioner, but all of you are practitioners. We are all practitioners in this world. So in the past 7 months, we've all had opportunities to reach out and ask for help or to help others, our families, our friends, our neighbors, our fellow human beings. It's kind of a sort of a natural thing because when calamity falls on a community, it tends to bring people together, closer together. Many are still in the grieving process and will continue to be for some time. So there's plenty of opportunity to reach out to them, to lend an ear, lend a hand, say a prayer. My own family is no exception. Sometimes the most innocuous thing will trigger a sad memory or bring up a terrifying fear. But I see healing taking place. I see it taking place every day for each one of them, in their own way, in their own time, at their own pace. I know all that I can, I do all that I can to treat for them, to be there for them, provide a safe space for them. To tell them, I hear you, I see where you're coming from. I can see it's still painful for you. We love you. So I want to close with a prayer I put together. So if you will please just close your eyes, if you're comfortable with that. Dear Mother, Father God, I know that I live, move, and have my being in you. You live in me, I live in you. We are one and inseparable. You are ever and always in all of my affairs, including rebuilding my life and all that it involves. Thank you, Spirit, for guiding and teaching me, for protecting and keeping me from separating from you. I know that's impossible, but in my darkest hours, I have felt abandoned. I forgive myself for that because I know that we are one and can never be separate. You love and understand me. We share a covenant of unconditional love that can never be broken. As I continue to collect the scattered pieces of my life, I surrender to you, Spirit, and let you guide me to what I must be, to what is next for me. I trust in you, dear Mother, Father, God, and I trust in the divine process. I know I am partnered with a divine source, and I am open to receive. I am fully aligned with success in all of my endeavors. I am supported by love. I am surrounded by light. I am surrounded by angels. I graciously extend this incredible love and goodness you shower upon me to all. I see the face of God in all of my brothers and sisters, and I bless them on their path. I release these words knowing they are already done. Thank you, and so it is. Namaste.
So it is time for our offertory. Molly, would you like to come forward? So let's say the abundance affirmation 3 times. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. And so it is. Thanks, Molly. So today I give thanks for the time, talent, and treasure that comes forward each and every day in each and every way. And I am so grateful for this beacon of light, the Center for Spiritual Living in Chico, for giving us a place to gather with our spiritual family. And I am grateful for each one of you. I follow you on your journey, and I always stand with you in love. So I release my word now, letting go and letting God, and together we say, and so it is. So let's gather up for the peace song. I think we'll stay down here so nobody has to climb stairs.